You look great today.
Thank you. Same as every day.
Pretty much every day for you.
Yeah, I grew a beard for this today.
You did?
Uh-huh.
You sure as hell did, didn't you?
Did.
That looks good on you.
Yeah.
My name is Pullen Daniel. I'm one of the co-founders of nCino. I've been at the company the whole time. Currently, I help build our corporate development function and work on strategy topics here at the company.
So tell us how everything got going, man. Where'd we come from?
Yeah. So my background started, the relevant background started when I worked at Live Oak.
Mm-hmm.
And my involvement with nCino, or what was the original version of the software, was really to solve a business problem at a bank that was in small business. So Live Oak is a small business bank. Literally, that's the only type of loan they made. It happened to have a government guarantee behind it, but the customer they're serving is a small business customer.
Yeah.
And we just felt like there was a better way to serve that customer, and technology was going to play a key role in the way we did that. So yes, we were going to have good people, and yes, they're going to be responsive and hopefully better than just any other bank in town or around the country. But at the same time, technology was going to be key. And so at the bank, I actually managed the existing customer book. And so at night, I would sit there with our super smart engineers, our original engineers who left the bank with me to come to nCino. But I would tell them what business problem we were trying to solve. Not just me, plenty of others too, but I was one of the people that would help them. And once we kind of had built this product that was making the bank really, really hum, it felt like the time to take the software and maybe help other banks who had similar challenges solve their problems via technology. Great. So really, it was more about solving a business problem than it was around building a software company.
I love it. Every time I've heard that, the
Yep.
most successful products that are out there in the marketplace, that they're almost like accidental. You know, we've got this complicated guy we're trying to take care of, and that's what makes it work. Just for the people out there that are like, hey, I know y'all with Live Oak. I know you guys are independent. You've got this great company. What is it you do?
So nCino is a platform company. So what does that mean? It means that our vision is that any product that the bank wants to offer to its customer, nCino is the platform through which we will fulfill that customer request in a single platform experience. Now, that started in small business and moved into commercial lending in the US. Today, that's morphed into a much larger thing where we're into the liability side of the balance sheet with deposit origination. We do large corporate commercial transactions. We're in lots of different markets and lots of different languages, but at our core, we're a platform. And we've added data and analytics on top of that to use machine learning and AI to enhance the customer experience and the consumer experience. But throughout the whole history of the company, we've been a platform company. We've just added capabilities to that experience to round out that platform experience.
I love how they describe it as bank operating system.
Yeah, there's a neat part that they have where it basically ensures a profitability model. So as you're going through the process, the journey has a built-in profitability checker. Mm-hmm. You want to kind of, maybe you can probably say that better than I did.
I don't know. That was pretty good.
Pretty good. Huh?
I don't know that the goal is to just make sure you're measuring everything the whole time, right? And because, in theory, most of the time, the product that the customer is asking for is competitive. It could be another community bank. It could be a big bank. It could be a FinTech that's making bank-oriented products, and all that stuff has to happen in a way that it's still profitable to the bank to fulfill the customer need, and you got to do it in a competitive and in a better way than the competition. And so we feel like if you can't measure it, you're never going to continue to get better, and the market's going to pass you by. So that's why it's so important to measure that every step of the way.
Well, let's have a little data time out here.
Okay.
Because there's a total misconception about this company. I want to clear up here. Just sweeping the floor a little bit. Everybody tells you, I think they're in the big bank. Don't they do Bank of America? They're just in the big guys. I don't think they really do community banking. Now that's a complete wrong way to look at your company.
Well, your culture, your founding, your ethos is clearly community regional bank, right?
Yeah. So
awesome success at the big institutions, but where's the focus? What's the customer base look like?
So that's a great question. So we have over 1,500 banks and credit unions around the world that use nCino. Most of them are in the United States. And if you just do the math, there aren't but so many big banks. I mean, they have lots of people and plenty of customers, but at the same time, the preponderance of our customer base is US community and regional banks.
Love it.
That's just what it is. And so it's important, I think, just from a lineage perspective to let people know that for the first 3 years of the company, we did not sell or even attempt to enter a market that was even really a regional bank. I mean, we focused on straight community banks below $10 billion in assets. We eventually started to move up market as functionality improved and became deeper and richer so that a large bank could consider using it, but that was not the focus. And I would say today, the majority of our product development and engineering focus is focused on the needs of a community bank. So we start there. In the history of the company, we focus there now. And it's just reflected in all the literature, all the product focus, where our people come from. A lot of them come from community banks. We don't launch any features that aren't applicable to the community banker and its customer. And if it happens to work for a larger bank, that's great. And that's fine. And we're very proud of our large bank customer base, but at our core, like we started out and continue to be focused on US community banks.
It's awesome. And I think that is reflective of the roadmap, right? I mean, small business into more commercial treasury. I'm thinking today, obviously the lending side, today pushing more and more into the retail side, account opening, right? There's been a lot there from you guys in the last year or two. And it's sort of building out that surround, right? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we feel like what a community bank wants is a software platform provider that can do as many things as possible well, and will continue to keep them relevant in a digitally, in an accelerating digital transformation way. So if the market's going to move fast because people can order a pizza fast and they can order a book fast and they can do all that stuff fast, financial products need to be as accessible as what they experience in their daily life. And I think it's our job to help the community banks stay relevant when their budget isn't going to be the same as Bank of America's or JP Morgan's. It just won't be. But it's my job and nCino's job to make sure that the products we offer keeps them competitive in those markets. And so that's what we focus on.
If I can say and share.
Thank you for that.
Yes. Say and share from my perspective and working with nCino. Probably, I know you guys do some of this. I just don't think it's done enough by everybody, but the ROI, right? That's what I see in the data from our side looking at nCino.
I think it's important to remember, like, different banks come at a technology buying decision from different places, right? Sometimes we have obsolete systems. Sometimes we got to cut costs. And so it's a cost reduction thing. And other times it's, hey man, I see this market, but man, I just can't get to the customers fast enough. And man, I need something that's going to help me not just like manage costs and stay relevant, but really grow. And I need some, like, a backbone and a spine to really enable me to take advantage of what I see. And so you can measure a business case, like you said, a banker can run a business case and run an ROI model in 100 different ways. So the inputs are going to vary based on the circumstances. But I think if you ask our customers, and this kind of goes back to the referenceability thing, if you go ask our customers, very few of them say, you know what, everything was fine, but it was too expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
That's actually not what if they didn't like it, it's probably not because it's too expensive. It's probably because they had missed expectations, or, something didn't go as well as they thought, or whatever.
Yeah.
You said something really smart there. And I think a lot of community banks, most of them aren't de novos. They've been around a while.
Yeah.
And you'll see, that, hey, the demographics of the areas that I serve or my branch footprint, it changes. There used to be a wheat field, and now
Neighborhood.
they're condos, right?
Yeah.
And so when you're not in a position to really serve and change.
That's good for loans, though, by the way. We'll take those condos.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Urban sprawl,
Hey,
make
man.
money.
You
I
bet.
like it.
You bet.
But yeah, you got to be in a position where you can offer things, and like you said, with speed, offer things that people are actually wanting to do.
And a shifting demographic. I like that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
people are only going to switch or use a bank if it's fast enough and convenient enough.
Right.
They're not going to just switch because they like the colors better or gotta be speed,
Yes.
convenience. Speed and convenience will beat price almost every time.
You bet. And I actually, if you think about sort of this fintech challenger space, I mean, you and I have seen that for a lot of years. It's a little newer topic these days, the chimes. There's a ton of speed and convenience, but it's a very narrow value prop. It's a friggin' debit card app, right?
Yeah.
I mean, neat to have, but I need a dozen apps like that to get anywhere in life. Whereas a community bank, full service, that speaks, I think, to consumer and retail. But back to where kind of you guys began and started in the prime focus, small business. That's a much harder use case, right? How many small business owners out there use Chime to run their business? Right? Okay. And community banks are the lifeblood of small business. And hats off to them, by the way, for PPP and all the good things. I mean, what would we have done without them? And that's been a big focus for you guys. Where do you see small business going in community banking and that mesh, and especially with the challengers and with technology? It's a big question, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, man.
So I think it's a great question, and it's something we think about, like, not just as an organization, we're aligned with a specific division, or what we call a strategic pillar, focused on small business. So it's not part of the retail team and it's not part of the commercial team. It is its own thing because that's how important we think it is.
Wow.
Because it needs different things than a large commercial customer who needs some lines and some loans and some liquidity products. And it's not a consumer who needs a debit card and a credit card. It needs something kind of in the middle, and different customers need different things. I mean, sometimes these businesses are seasonal, so they need certain products to reflect the seasonality of that business. Sometimes it's a pretty straight down the fairway, dry cleaner, restaurant, that type of thing. So we have to be flexible enough to support a pretty broad product set. But I think what the small business owner wants is to know that if they go to a community bank in Austin, Texas, or Bismarck, South Dakota, that community bank can handle more than just one or two things that they need. They want to go to one and know that they don't have to enter the information 42 times. They don't have to remember 18 passwords. They don't want to have 7 apps. They don't want to just go to Chime to have one product because it's cool. Like, they just want to get their banking done so they can go back to taking care of their customer. And so our job is to make sure that our products are comprehensive enough, compliant, but also, pretty freaking good compared to maybe a larger bank would offer. But at the same time, it's really easy for them to use it. So that's kind of the way we think about the products we have to offer that small business.
Mentally, I kind of slammed on the brakes when he said seasonal business. We've been doing this all wrong, man.
Yes.
We definitely need to have a seasonal business.
Just like FinTech in the fall.
Yeah.
In the spring, we'll have a fishing company.
Yeah, we could have
duck hunting season. You just want to stop.
Love it. Well, he threw me up when he said small business in Austin, Texas with their bank. I'm like, we're a small business in Austin, Texas. We got bank at Horizon Bank in Austin, right? Among others. But it's a really good analogy, man, to think about, what's the layout or makeup of small businesses. And I think you probably struggled with this, like I have in past lives and here, micro business or sole props, right? It's a super retail, maybe they do a handful of ACHs, maybe, a couple times a year there's a wire, but it's not exactly, business like we don't think of business. And it's a long way away from, commercial and treasury land. That's an interesting segment. I think it was a big segment in PPP, right? A lot of folks that had a handful of employees.
Yeah.
And I think you make a great point that probably wouldn't show super well in some jazzy presentation, but it's how do I service this line that's a lot heavier than just traditional retail, but it's not some massive complicated thing. There's a lot of relationship there. Right. And so I don't want to use software to disintermediate the customer relationship. I do want to use software to make my people go further and be better automation and make, all of that. How do you guys view that problem of that sort of smaller small business?
I think you just have to offer them an experience that's tailored to what they need at the time, right? And so we actually
use case it.
Yeah, use case it, journey it, use case it, whatever you want. So like one of the things that we just did, I don't know if you guys have seen much of this, but we just acquired a mortgage front-end solution company called Simple Nexus.
Yes.
It's a wonderful point of sale solution in the mortgage space. And
an
it's
interesting
space.
Like,
what's that?
That's an interesting space in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
Got the Pullens and others there, and lots have had great success. And that in our world, the technology world, very different from sort of the traditional back-end origination landscape, but a critical component in the digital landscape.
Speeds it up.
And so we think it really actually fills a big hole for our customer's customer, right? So if I'm that sole proprietor and I'm do business with Horizon Bank in Austin, like I'm probably going to want to have if I'm a sole proprietor of a small business, I probably have a mortgage too.
Yep.
And so that mortgage experience engaged through the single platform of nCino really brings a whole product that we couldn't offer previously to that sole proprietor. And that's just one use case. But if they've got a small business loan, they probably have some deposit products, savings accounts or whatever. Hopefully that's cool, but maybe a credit card, but the chances of them having a mortgage are pretty high. Right. And we want to offer a market leading solution. Again, like not asking them to enter the same data twice.
And this is cool to me because look, we could use the traditional words of, distribution and cross sell. That kind of fits there. Sure. But you're starting to toe a line that's a little bit more like extensibility or embedded finance, or right, banking as a service. Like we're getting into that lane a little bit. And I think that point right there shows well the sort of the evolution of the market right now.
Very much agree.
We're all not sitting here saying that a bank needs to be extending things to their businesses who are extending things to their customers and their customers' customers, right? Wonderful thought, but there is a sort of this trickle effect of beginning the journey in that direction. And I think your point is a really good analogy for that, right? We're starting that journey.
Yeah, and we think that it will be helpful to the bank's customer. So like, let's just say I'm clicking through and I'm applying for a mortgage and I'm using the nCino powered by Simple Nexus app, and that's awesome. And then, chances are like I might need a line of credit to do home improvement stuff at the end of the process. And I've already entered all this stuff and my credit's been checked and I've provided all these documents and all that stuff. I mean, embedding that experience of, hey, do you want an extra 10% of this mortgage to do something in my house? Like that's kind of the time to do it, right?
Would you like fries with that?
Right.
Yeah, like you're at the Five Guys. Like, do you want the fries or do you not? Like, of course you do. Yep. So it is about to us, it's really about showing up, enabling the bank to show up with the right product at the right time. And so in the background we have AI and machine learning stuff that powers those things. And typically a community bank that powers that offer. Typically a community bank may not have the budget to have a bunch of data scientists building those types of things, but it's our job to bring that to them and their customer.
I love it. I actually just compliment here, but the humble way that you sort of approached that whole topic was great, right? You understated a lot of things there that there's like, you're a lot cooler than you're making yourself sound, man, right?
That's right.
That's compliments.
We actually have really smart people at nCino. We have smart people at nCino. I'm just not one of them, but they've trained me well on what to say, but I'll pass along the compliment to the people who come up with this stuff.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, everybody has data, these days they go in and they want to get into the geo. Let's look at your customer base, and then you really got to analyze your customer base.
And how do I take action even if I did that?
And what I laugh about all the time is, okay, now that you've done that, what in the hell do you do about it?
Right.
If you don't have the products to offer.
Exactly.
So you're taking a system that's going to do this for you with the products to offer. Love it.
I mean, like some of these things are, our visionary platform stuff that Pierre and Josh and David have spoken about. So I'm not unveiling any secrets here, but that's really what we're all about, is extending that platform, as much as we can to enable as much to happen in a single experience as possible.
I love it. And I mean, is there a better example? Again, I don't mean to just plug nCino. I'm just a big fan, if you guys know.
Everybody.
Appreciate that.
Back to my Malazai days with Shin, and I know him and Pierre were buddies, right? And Chip and Neil from Live Oak, just small world. And it's been cool for me I feel like we kind of grew up together, me and nCino, right? I got to watch nCino just rock and roll, and it's always a shining star for me, man,
You got great, a little fandom going on here, man.
Sorry.
I like it.
But it's been cool to see also. I mean, look, same with us, probably the same with most of our community banks out there. You reach a point where, okay, we made it, we're somewhere, right? And actually a community bank, maybe it was 100 years ago when I reached that point, the sort of the what's next. And you guys have done a really interesting job of not having the lights and the smoke, oh my gosh, screaming innovation and first, right?
Yeah.
But being able to actually in market, live install, deliver things that I think fit that bill. At the same time, it's just steady, right? If you look at your product suite, your roadmap, from our data, the products that you're actually putting into the community bank market, not like they got one live question mark, it's like thousands, right? And new products and then thousands of launches.
So when you were talking about small business, once upon a time you were one.
Right.
And that's what's really interesting about this whole neat thing that we've got going on here.
You've done what everybody's trying to do.
And as your business began to grow, now you've reached this point to where, I mean, guys, there's nobody that's not going to say, I've never heard of nCino.
Sure.
I might not know what they do, but I've damn sure heard of it.
Sure.
Which really helps, really push your market through push your product through the marketplace. Something you mentioned a minute ago with the 1,500, just for the folks out there that want the numbers on life, 10 billion and above, roughly 756-ish down to $1 billion from the next 10 billion below. 1,500 banks. He's well into if he had
now some of that 1,500 is credit union, so there's a healthy credit union population in there also, so don't want to leave out my credit union.
300-ish credit unions over $1 billion. Does that sound about right? Yeah. So it's interesting market these days, and I think a lot of people miss, if you're talking very much what people call small community banks, probably 4,000 of the less than 5 today. I mean, this is our world and our market, and that's the backbone of from a rural perspective. That's the heart and soul of the heartland, man.
Well, I'm going to break something right now. We're going to have breaking news. I'm not one of the credit union haters in our business. I do hate the big banks, but I don't have anything against the credit unions. They do their job. We'll do ours. Compete and whip their ass. How about that, right? And the fact that they're using nCino and you're not, there you have it.
Mic drop, huh? All right.
Yeah, we have a nice developing international business, which I realize that listenership is not overly dialed in on, but it is important to us. But I tell you, the U.S. community and regional business is where we got started, and as long as Pierre's in charge, and as long as Josh and I and others are still here, I mean, I'd say that like it might change when we're not, but like that ain't going to change. Like that's where we test products. That's where we get the best feedback. That's the heart. It's the heart of what we do.
Love it. Can I add a couple of data points real quick? So from my perspective, okay, I don't have to run through this one for every banker on the call, but when you sit down and you're looking at a board presentation, what are the numbers we want to impact, right? What are those items? Okay. What are the things that we do in digital to impact numbers that impact those numbers, right?
Efficiency ratio.
And so I got a couple that, hey, remember a couple of times ago you showed up all the notes? I got notes this time.
All right.
All right? Okay, so cool.
He never gets prepared.
Hey,
this is great.
I told you I was
prepared.
Okay.
Love it.
This is
So, and I think everybody will track with my theme here. So a couple of nCino notes here. Increase in efficiency, 25%, increase in account opening rates, 127%, decrease in delinquencies, 13%, reduction in data reentry, 92%. Does anybody see how key these, not only awesome numbers, but those are the line items that impact the friggin' line items, right? That's not like, 79 out of 80 people prefer Crest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was a good one.
Yeah, it's these are the numbers that impact bottom line numbers that are actually important at a board level. And I don't see that with everything out there. Hey, and I'm all about products that have shine or marketing or cool stuff. But for a banker that's focused on making those bottom line numbers, you got a really interesting offering in that you're not necessarily a cost center to a bank. You're really an ROI driver, revenue center to the bank, and your products impact those bottom line numbers. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's where, back to the question about ROI, like all those are things that are typical attributes of an nCino delivery, right? And that's why we feel like we've done our job when the bank goes live and can take advantage of the software. Because until then, it's just an expense, right? It's emotional, and people's feelings get hurt, and we're turning off somebody's cousin's system, and all that stuff, which like sounds ridiculous, but it totally happens, right? And so until we can get the value going for the bank and its customer, like it's less meaningful. So like I mean, all those metrics you said are very common in nCino projects.
Yep.
Yeah, the go lives, that's a great way to look at live. Guys, banking's not that hard. You want to see the expense numbers go this way and the income numbers go that way. But one of the old fables in banking is that, all the old guys used to tell me this, that anybody can make a loan. It's getting that damn thing paid back. That takes a genius, That's a banker.
It goes great till the customer doesn't want to pay it back.
Right, man. And if you got this built-in profitability checker, you've also got the AI working for you in your own internal system that's aggregating data and looking all these things together. It's hard to really go wrong. It's kind of like no wonder you're successful.
Yep.
Well, thank you for the kind words. I mean, we've got awesome customers, and they've chosen to go on this journey with us, it is like, it sounds sort of corny, but like it is a journey, right? Because we innovate, you take upgrades, it continually gets better. Frankly, like that's why the people choose it. If you want a point solution that never changes, like there's probably something, to your point earlier, David, there's something that's cheaper. You can just do that, but it's not going to be sustaining and long-term beneficial to that board member or to the customer, because it's never going to get any better than it was when it was first sold to you. Yep. And that's why the innovation focus has been there with us from the beginning, just because, to be different, like you got to do that.
I got one last one for you.
Okay.
Kind of my final thoughts moment. All right. I always focus on
your final thoughts.
Final question.
Well, I was going to say, what are your final thoughts?
Look, I always think if you want to figure out what's wrong with something, probably look in the mirror first, right? We only need to be thinking about, I'm probably screwing something up, right? And I think on a lot of what we do, look, we're asking you all the hard questions and having a cool conversation. Hopefully that's great for everybody. But what should we have talked about?
Yeah.
What should we ask you? What do you want to talk about? What are you talking about? I mean, anything under the sun is up for grabs, but I just want to ask somebody with a heck of a good track record and cool stuff, right? And knows the business. Go. What should we be talking about? Anything.
It's a good question. I mean, one thing that we talk about a little bit is, we hit on it a little bit, is just like the competitive threat from the non-bank entrants. And so like, where do they, like, how far do they start to penetrate and erode the strong hold that a community bank has on the communities that it serves? So like, are they starting to feel it? Like, is it just something that big newspapers talk about? But like, if you go to Topeka, Kansas, like, does it feel like people are actually like more interested in that stuff than they were before? That's just a topic. I think bank consolidation is something that I wouldn't say it doesn't worry us. It's just something we pay attention to because it impacts our customers negatively and positively. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a big,
Yeah, we don't like losing charters, just philosophically, right?
Yeah, bad for lots of reasons.
That mega merger is obviously very bad, but hey, couple of micro little bitty banks in a couple of towns, and they make one, and they're in 2 towns. Okay, cool, right?
I mean, in some cases, it may even be a net positive because keeps people employed and provides services that might otherwise have gone away. But anyway, whatever. I mean, I think the only other thing that I can think of is like, there's just a lot of like geopolitical risk going on right now, and it's kind of like a today issue. Yeah. I'm curious, like, whether that's on anybody's mind in your constituency. Like, it's in a big bank where you might have like counterparty risk or something, they may worry about it, but in a small community bank or even a regional bank, like Or is anybody paying any attention to that stuff, or is it just not a big deal?
I can give you an insight here, observation. So in Bankers Helping Bankers, tracking all the chatter and everybody's talking about outreach from all of our pals to us, the Russia-Ukraine concept, it's not questions or commentary so much about Swift, obviously, should we be worried about cyber attacks or et cetera, et cetera. Actually, the big tone that I'm walking away with at the moment is the community bankers in support of Ukraine and Zelensky, right? And the honor and encourage, which I think honor and encourage and integrity are great words, not only to describe what's going on, but that's how I would describe community banks.
Well, if you're looking at a market
that's an interesting
the big
takeaway.
bad wolf has walked in there and just chewed your ass.
Yeah,
it would be the big banks and community
there
banks.
you go.
I'm sure they know what it feels
Similar
like.
fight. I think there's some honor to that. They're focused on that rather than themselves. That's a cool takeaway for me.
Okay, that's a great thought.